Okay, the weather's finally gotten hot here, and it's summertime, which is great for my tarantulas because they'll grow nice and fast. Isn't so great for me because I can't stand the hot weather. So Billy and I are in our dining room sweating and about to do another rehousing of our Pterinopelma sazimai. I got these guys in July of 2015 from Pet Center USA as 3/4 inch slings, and at that time I had them in the AMAC boxes. I may even have a video of me transferring them out of this. This one's covered with poo because it hasn't been cleaned yet, but I just grabbed one off the shelf. Once they hit about 2 inches or so, I put them in one of these. Now, this is a species that will sometimes burrow as slings. I have one now, a sling in the other room, that hasn't burrowed at all. These two guys burrowed, were almost fossorial from three quarters of an inch up till just the last couple molts. They had little burrows and they stayed in them. I've talked to other folks that they live terrestrially, and I've heard that in the wild they'll even be semi-arboreal. If they find some plants, they'll web up and go up off the ground a little bit. Another thing to mention is a lot of people shy away from these because of the supposed moisture requirements. They do live in an area that has very, very wet periods, and they have to seal themselves up in burrows to protect themselves from the flooding, but they also have dry periods. So they're very adaptable to different situations. As slings, I kept one side of the substrate moist. In here, I will moisten part of the substrate. They don't show any preference whatsoever toward it. So here I've got one of the Exoterra breeder boxes, the smaller 8x8 ones. The substrate's moist for the time being, but I will let most of it dry out. It just happened to be the bag of topsoil I was using was moist. And I did mix some vermiculite in it, which allows the water to kind of sift down through and keep the lower levels moist. I am going to keep these guys more terrestrially this time because they've been hanging out at the top. They haven't been using their burrows as much. So I'm going to run with that because it means less substrate, less depth I need. But if I notice that they're trying to burrow and tearing everything up, then I may rehouse them when they get a little bit bigger and give them some space. I usually allow, if they want to burrow, I'll let them burrow. They haven't been doing it, so this will work great. So what we're going to do is hopefully pop the top, get this one in here. Now, these guys are kind of jerks. Of all the species I keep, I think this one kind of threw me a bit because I didn't read about their temperament. They're very, very skittish. I get more threat postures from these two than I think all the rest of my species put together. And I have baboons, pogies, everything, all the species people call defensive. Nobody is quite as bad as these guys. And they'll race around. They'll bolt. So something to keep in mind, kind of like a GBB in terms of their skittishness, but they'll also drop the threat pose without a, too much of a need. As the, oh, there he goes. That's him. And I don't think I really thought out this cardboard thing when I did this. Yep, there you go. See what I mean?
I see him with your hand out.
No, sorry. No. You little bum. And that didn't go very well. All right, so I'm going to try to get it in here. It's funny, I was less worried about the HMAC and more worried about this as far as transferring because they're such jerks. I mean, you can't blame them. They got this big dude sitting here.
Something on their leg.
Sticking a paintbrush up their butt.
I wasn't going to go there, but okay.
Well, I really, for the record, I did not hit it in the butt yet. The old poke and pray and see if it just bolts right into the other enclosure. See if I can get it to go up. Man, no, you're not doing that this time. There you go.
Maybe they don't like the texture too of the cup.
They're just little buttholes. That's a technical term. Right.
Very technical.
There we go. Actually, she come down quite a bit.
Ooh.
There we go. All right, so there it is. I don't know if the... I want the blue to show up. This is one of my bluer specimens. People have been asking when the blue shows up. It's kind of a tricky question to answer because I got this one. Let's see if I... No, it's going to turn right around, so I'm going to try to get it right in there. People ask when the blue shows up. Kind of tricky to answer because they start off looking brown. They almost look like LPs. And right around, I think this one right around 1.5 to 1.75 inches or so. There she goes.
You can see the blue.
Oh, you see a little.
Yeah.
If you want to go around this side, it should stand. But 1.5 to 3/4 or so. When you put a light on it, the blue would show up almost beneath the brown. It was really weird. So from the naked eye, just look brown, throw a little light on, you could see the blue underneath. And then with each molt after that, it picked up more and more blue. These guys right now, during the winter, they get kept at around 72, 75 degrees. I've actually had the heater running. You can probably zoom in a little bit. I had the heater running all winter to keep things a little warmer. But I do have a colder season. There you go. You can kind of see it. Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
In the summer, it hits about 80 in the tea room, anywhere from 78 to 80. So the growth rates, even in those conditions with the cooler time, were quite good. I've had them for about 2 years, and she's probably, I don't know, what, about 3.5 inches now or so. So decent growth rate. I'm guessing if you live in an area where you have warm temperatures all year round, it would probably be a little quicker. So there you go. Pterinopelma sazimai. I think it's sazimai. Cool little species. Love these guys, and I have two. I think that one might be a male, one might be a female. I haven't been able to sex their molts because they tend to just chew the heck out of them. But the other one I noticed does have a molt in there, so I'm hoping after I rehouse that one, I'll be able to get a sex on it. But great species. Again, can beginners work with these? Probably, but just know they do, you know, as you can see, they've got some attitude, which is great, and I'm used to dealing with it, so it's not a big deal. But somebody that's not used to dealing with it, you whip the top of the cage off, they can bolt on you. It can be a little disconcerting. So there we go. P. sazimai.